Hello, everyone. My name is Alfonso Esquir, and today we are joined by Career Services. A little bit about myself. I am the program director for the Criminal Justice Program here at Point Loma Nazarene University. I obtained a master's degree in criminal justice and a second master's degree in social work. Prior to my employment with Point Loma, I was actually employed as a Drug Enforcement Administration criminal investigator, a special agent. I also have a background in social work and a chaplain that teaches within the criminal justice correctional system. And so I've had many opportunities to work with different populations of people. And so today we'd like to share some of our experiences and give you some career tips.
Hi, everyone. My name is Evi Alvarez. I am the program manager for career services here on campus, and I'm an alum myself, graduated with a bachelor's in communications and a minor in nonprofit management. I first worked in HR, being a talent acquisition coordinator, so a lot of the hiring and connecting applicants to different programs. The reason that I got this job was also through volunteering and having that personal connection. So when it came to applying for the role, I had a great letter of recommendation from the previous director. Jumping right into it, an interview is a meeting where an employer asks a job applicant questions to determine if they are right for the position. So we're finding that 93% of HR managers are most likely going to hit you with the question, tell me about yourself, making it the most common question. So as you are preparing for your interviews, you want to make sure that you're really polishing that pitch that you're giving for yourself. It's also important to know that 20% is the success rate of job interviews, meaning that only 1 in 5 candidates are offered a job after an interview. So as you are preparing, you want to make sure that you are taking the time to practice and go through those interview questions as much as possible with your roommates, your friends, your family, whoever you can find, so that you're building up that confidence and really making a mark when you're actually going into the interview. This is a quick overview of the interview process. Typically, it starts off with an initial screening. Usually over the phone, this is a one-on-one with the hiring manager, and it's used to narrow down the list of candidates because if they have 50 applicants that they have to review, they can't bring them all in for an interview. So they're really trying to essentially just weed through those numbers to get it down to a more realistic pool. Then you're going to have your first interview. This is where they're going to be evaluating your skills, your experiences, and also seeing if you're going to be a good cultural fit for the company and the team. For the second interview, this can include a technical assessment or prepared materials. Then you're going to move on to the third interview. So this can include meeting the team or touring the building. This is a good sign. And then finally, you'll have the decision where a job offer is extended. And this is where you really want to be timely in your response with the acceptance. So what are the stages of a typical interview? The first is the introduction. So the interviewer will provide an overview of the role and then ask, tell me about yourself. Then the employer asks competency, informational, and behavioral questions, and you are expected to respond professionally. This is typically between 20 and 40 minutes of that time. Finally, candidate questions. This is where you're going to be able to demonstrate your knowledge and interest by asking a few thoughtful questions. As you are preparing for these interviews, you really want to think about the know framework, right? So you're wanting to know yourself really well, the job, and then also the organization as a whole. When you are doing research on yourself, you want to think about your experiences, the skills that you bring to the table, and your passion. Also, what are your goals? Is this a good fit for you? And then when you're assessing the job, you want to look and really investigate the job description and use it as your guide when you are tailoring your responses to the questions they might be having. So, what does the job require and what do you bring to the table? Demonstrate your value and also the alignment with the position. And then finally, the organization. So do your research on what their mission statement is, their vision, their values, and their goals, and then see how well you align with theirs. Tell me about yourself, the most common question that you're going to be asked. When you are thinking about your response, you really want to focus on highlighting experience from the past, the present, and also what you hope to do in the future. So, how your current job relates to the role that you're applying for and what you bring to the table in terms of relevant background, but also transferable skills. So we wanted to give you some examples of what this could look like specific to law enforcement and then also social issues. An example of what you could say when they ask, tell me about yourself for a law enforcement role could be, I'm currently a student in the criminal justice program at Point Loma Nazarene University, where I've been developing a strong foundation in law enforcement principles, criminal law, and community policing. Through my coursework and hands-on experience, I've gained an understanding of investigating procedures, crisis intervention, and ethical decision-making in the field. I'm known for being highly disciplined, level-headed under pressure, and committed to serving my community with integrity and professionalism. With this background, I'm looking to take my next step in my career by joining the San Diego Police Department, where I can apply my skills and passion for public safety to protect and support the community. An example for a social justice and advocacy role could look like this. I'm currently a student in the criminal justice program at Point Loma University, where I've been studying the legal system, victim advocacy, and the complexities of human trafficking. Through my coursework and research, I've developed a deep passion for supporting survivors and working towards justice for vulnerable populations. I'm known for being empathetic, resourceful, and dedicated to trauma-informed care when working with individuals in crisis. With this background, I'm looking to take the next step in my career by joining the international rescue community, where I can apply my skills and passion to support survivors of human trafficking and help connect them with critical resources to rebuild their lives. As you are going through this interview, they're going to be asking you situational and behavioral questions, and an easy way to formulate your responses is using the STAR technique. So you're going to start off with describing the situation or the problem that you faced. Then you're going to move on to describing the task that was needed in order to fix the problem or to handle the situation, and then also why. After that, you're going to focus on the action that you actively took to accomplish the task or solve the problem. And then finally, you're going to focus on the result. So talk about your achievements and your impact as a result of being in that role or as a result of you taking that action. In addition to going over the STAR technique, we did want to provide you with some examples specific to the different roles. So an example of what you might be asked in a social justice and advocacy role is, tell us about a time you managed multiple tasks at the same time. And this could be a great example response.
My previous role as a volunteer at a local nonprofit assisting trafficking survivors, I was responsible for coordinating intake assessment while also helping connect clients to legal and social services. Then the goal was to ensure that each survivor received timely support without delay, while also keeping accurate records for reporting purposes. To manage both tasks effectively, I created a structured workflow, setting specific times to conduct assessments, while using digital tools to track referrals and follow-ups. I also communicated regularly with my team to prioritize urgent cases. And as a result, we were able to reduce waiting time for services, ensuring that survivors received critical support more quickly. Additionally, my organizational system improved communication among staff, making the referral process more efficient.
Here is a STAR example for something focused on a law enforcement role. The question is, you're responding to a call about a potential domestic dispute. When you arrive, you find two individuals arguing loudly. One appears visibly upset while the other is defensive. How would you handle the situation?
So you may want to respond as such. During my criminal justice studies, I participated in a ride-along with local law enforcement, where I observed officers responding to a domestic dispute. I saw firsthand how tensions can escalate quickly and the importance of de-escalation techniques. In a situation like this, my priority would be to assess the safety of all individuals involved, refuse the tension, and gather information to determine the appropriate next steps. First, I would separate the individuals to prevent further escalation and allow each person to speak freely. I would use active listening and a calm demeanor to gather information while remaining neutral. If necessary, I would check for any visible injuries and call for medical assistance. Based on my assessment, I would determine whether further action is needed, such as making an arrest, referring one or both individuals to supportive services, or filing a report for further investigation. By maintaining control of the situation and using effective communication skills, I would aim to de-escalate the conflict and ensure the safety of everyone involved. My goal would be to resolve the dispute professionally while following department protocols and prioritizing the well-being of those affected.
Yeah, and this is a great response because they are looking for you to essentially tell them a story when you are being asked situational or behavioral questions. So moving on to the final step of the interview, they're going to be asking you, what questions do you have for us? This is a time where you are able to showcase that you've done your research and that you've come prepared with questions that are going to be specific to them or the role. Here are some examples of what that could look like. I think some of my favorites are, what's the most important thing I can focus on within my first 90 days? Or what are some challenges people in this role or team encountered previously, and how have you or the team supported them? Another good one is, what do you like best about working for this organization or this team? During this portion where you have the floor, it's really important to realize that as much as they are trying to see if you're a good fit for them, you are trying to see if they're a good fit for you. So ask these questions, but be strategic in how you're asking them to get a better understanding of the work culture, but also the role. If at any point in the interview process you had a question that stumped you, this is also a great time to revisit them and say, hey, you asked a really good question earlier about my a mistake I've made previously. And I don't think I fully answered it in the way that I wanted to. I wanted to know if I could revisit that. And usually they'll say yes. And this is where you can really elaborate and kind of regroup and give the answer that you actually wanted to provide in the first place.
This is a time where you could talk about your experiences and how you will apply them to the specific position that you are applying to. So make sure that you research the organization, know enough about them to where you could articulate why you would like to work for them and what you can bring to the table. They're not so much concerned about the knowledge that you have about the legal system or about the specific jobs, responsibilities that you'll be doing, such as the powers of arrest or investigations, because all of that they'll teach you during your academy, but they want to know that you're a well-rounded person and how you would generally respond to these type of questions or whatever it is that they're asking about.
Okay. So best practices, make sure that you are practicing as much as possible. In order to feel confident in your interview, it's important that you are gaining as much experience as possible going through these different questions and formulating those responses, specifically utilizing the STAR technique. And then remember to market yourself from beginning to end, because in that room, you are the only person that's able to advocate for yourself. And then make sure that you are making a great impression, because it really does start from the very beginning interaction that they have. Do your research, like we talked about, make sure that you're really getting to know yourself, the role, and also the organization, or maybe the person interviewing you.
Make sure that you are feeling confident about yourself. Confidence can take you a long way. That means looking at everybody in the eyes, speaking from a level of professionalism where you are confident about what you are stating. If you have the opportunity to engage with a handshake, make sure you have a good, solid, firm handshake or one that is imitating their handshake. And as well as your final address. Thank you to all of you for your time and consideration, something of that nature. Expressing your ability to communicate as well as be confident in that situation.
And then lastly, make sure that you're maintaining professionalism throughout. Here are a list of our resources that you can find on our website. There's an interview preparation guide as well as an article on how to utilize the STAR method. In addition to this, we also have on our website a few AI tools like a Google practice interview, as well as interviewsmile.com, where you can actually type in the role that you're applying for at the company and it will populate questions that you can practice with. And then in addition to that, it will record your video or your message and give you tips on how to improve your responses.
Career Services also has a wealth of information and resources that are available to you. You may make in-person appointments or contact Ellie for additional support, as well as you could reach out to me for any questions or any concerns or anything that you would like to discuss. I do want to give you a word of encouragement that you can do this. You can achieve all that you set out to. Take all that you have learned within your program and all of the great resources that Career Services is providing and go out there and be who you are called to be. Thank you.
Thank you.